Hey everyone, this is Carlos Casados with Hypnotherapy Breakthrough, and I wanted to talk to you about something that I think most of us have experienced in our lives. Have you ever been overwhelmed? Ever felt like you've just had it up to here and you're not reacting to things the way you're used to reacting? You're starting to feel like, hey, who is this person? I don't recognize myself anymore. I'm just not responding to life with the same flexibility of thinking, and I don't feel as resilient in life. If you've experienced that, and I know I have, I'm no stranger to that. You've experienced this overwhelm. I want to talk to you about an idea that may be useful to you. It's this idea that we're like a barrel that gets filled up, and you can take quite a lot, but when you get filled up beyond a certain point, as it keeps filling up, another event happens, another event happens, another event happens. Pretty soon, you start to overflow, and anything you add spills out. Even a thimbleful will spill out because there's just no more room. And we have to recognize when we've reached our limit. But the thing about limits is that when you change your perspective, your limit changes. So the tools that you can gain in life, the tools of self-knowledge and transformation can actually change your ability to take any situation and turn it for the better. So in other words, your ability to handle things can change as you grow. But we will always have limits, and thank God for that, because without limits, we wouldn't have a lot of the things that we love, you know. There's this idea of a limiting belief, right? This is a belief that is getting in our way. You know, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve to be happy, or I'll never be rich, or I'm not a strong enough person to handle this. These are limiting beliefs that can get in the way of our ability to actually do it, because you have to believe that you're capable of something to even access your own inner abilities. If you don't think it's an option, you won't even select that possibility from the multitudes of possibilities that are there. But then again, all beliefs are technically limiting. You know, the belief that I'm a good person means that I'm limiting myself, that I'm not a bad person. The belief that healthy food makes you healthier, right? That you eat healthy food and somehow you're giving yourself good fuel. Well, that belief is preventing you from eating a lot of crappy food, a lot of unhealthy food, and you'll make better choices because you believe that eating healthy will make you healthy. And in the long run, that could be a very useful limiting belief. But when it comes to our nervous system, when we get overwhelmed, anything at all that we add to it, even sometimes a very positive thing like getting married or going on a trip, or seeing some relatives you haven't seen in a long time that you really love, even things like that can be stressful. And I'm just here to say that that is normal, that you're normal. If you've had that experience, there's nothing wrong with you. But there are some tools that might be useful to you. One of those things is to learn how to release the general negative emotions that have been existing inside of you, like you know, the fear, anger, sadness, hurt, shame, and guilt. These are examples of negative emotions that you may have stored inside of you for different reasons, and they may relate to experiences that you've had at different times in your life. And if you were to go back through time and notice, there were a lot of significant emotional events that led you to this very moment today. For example, the first time you felt sad probably wasn't this moment. The first time you felt fear wasn't this moment. If you go back in time, there were probably many moments where you felt that feeling. Those are significant, but there's also something called a root cause, and a root cause is something where you go all the way back and you remember that there was a moment where you first learned how to feel that feeling. And in that moment, we call it a root cause, because if you release the negative energy around that moment, And by releasing the negative energy, I mean replacing it with a learning of some kind, like realizing that you're way more than that, understanding something essential about the situation that helps you to let go of the feelings of negativity around it. That's what I mean by learning. It's when you start to understand and know something that is about you, it's positive, it's empowering, and it allows you to dissolve the negative feelings around it. So an example of that might be realizing that you're capable of a lot more, that when life doesn't go your way necessarily, it can be a good thing, and it can actually teach you something about yourself, like it can teach you about your resilience. When things don't go your way, sometimes things happen better than you would have imagined, because maybe the way you were imagining things going was only one of many possibilities, and it wasn't the best one. And when the thing that happens that you weren't planning for happens, you're quite impressed, and you say, wow, that I never would have thought that would have been that great. And then you realize, gosh, I don't necessarily have all the answers, and it's okay. I can accept myself, and I can accept that as a learning, that I'm constantly learning about myself, that I'm open to change, and that being open to change and open to new possibilities is an empowering thing, not a disempowering thing. So I don't need to control. I don't need to try to micromanage what's going to happen. I can flow with my circumstances. So that's an example of a train of thought that could happen to you as you go deeply inside and you look for a lesson or a learning to release the negative feelings around an event. So why is that useful? Often we're stuck in the feeling of the negativity, and we don't know where to go from that. We wish we could feel differently. We just don't know how. So when you drop in and go to the event, and you actually ask your deep mind, the intelligent part of you which functions and moves freely, and is brilliant and generative and almost divinely intelligent, that spark of creativity inside of you, the insight, the flow state. When you go to that place, some people might call this the unconscious mind or the superconscious mind, right? Where you relax, you ask for the answers, and you trust. A flow of information can come to you, and that flow of information can imbue you with a realization that is different than the reality you were in when you were feeling stuck in the feeling. So some people meditate to do that. Some people do an NLP, neuro-linguistic processing, technique to get there. Some people will use hypnosis. Some people will just go for a walk and go for go to the gym and exercise, or they'll go for a walk in nature, or they'll handle their pet and play with their dog or their cat. They'll reach out for a hug. They'll have a phone call with a friend and have some laughter. They'll listen to a podcast. You can go and cook a wonderful meal. There's a million things you can do. Go doodle on some paper. Get out the paints. Get out the coloring pens. Get into another state of mind. Go take a shower. Enjoy a bath. There are a million ways to change your state, but you have to change your state from where you were, because the problem state isn't where the answers are. Remember that, and I'm paraphrasing here, Albert Einstein said that the problems we face today can't be solved by utilizing the same level of thinking that was used in the creation of the problem. So what does that mean? It means you got to change your state, change the level of thinking to the level of thinking that has solutions in it. We don't necessarily know what that is, but we know it's not the problem state. So if you get out of the problem state, whatever it is, change your state, access your resources, step into a resourceful state of mind, you're more likely to be able to ask a question, to receive a lesson that could help you release a negative emotion. So you could ask simply like this. You could say, all right, now that I'm in this other state of mind, I'm asking that genius part of me, what is there that I could learn right now that if I learned it would allow me to release the negative emotion from this situation and from any subsequent situation that's similar to it? In other words, what could I realize that if I really knew it, if I knew it fully and embodied it, it would make that feeling unnecessary? And then you just go ahead and accept the learning, whatever it is. But it's not going to be gotten by thinking it through or analyzing it. It's going to be gotten by asking the question and then quieting yourself. Really opening yourself to that answer. And I think when you do that, you'll see that you can learn a tremendous amount about yourself and about the situation. So give it a try. Think of some negative feeling that you've had in a situation and go back and just close your eyes and just ask yourself, when I'm not in this state of being stuck, when I'm in this other state of feeling positive, right? That's a completely different state. So what could I learn right now if I were to access my unconscious mind, the power of my divine intelligence, if you will, and I could bring it to bear on the situation? What could I learn? What could I know that if I understood it would make the negative feeling unnecessary, completely irrelevant? An example might be to realize that you're more than this, that you're so much more than that situation, and that just changing your perspectives can be eye-opening. That could be a simple lesson. And so you could resolve to be the kind of person to open your perception and be open to new learning. So I invite you to try this. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. I certainly didn't exhaust all possibilities in this description, but I wanted to stimulate some thoughts, stimulate some creative ideas for you. There are a host of ways you can get in touch with me. I have a website. It's just hypnotherapiebreakthrough.com. I'm also on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/hypnotherapiebreakthrough. Again, my name is Carlos Casados, and I'm a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner, and I love to share the realizations that I come to. And I would invite you to share yours with me as well, and stay in touch. Let's keep the conversation going. Ciao.